Hello and welcome to Beyond the Slipstream, the companion podcast to the Team Bus. I'm Matt. I'm here with my brother Justin. Got plenty of stuff to get into, and as the cycling season comes to a close, we are going to be leaning more into beyond content here. Let's try to keep it moving along today, Justin, because I got a lot of stuff that I want to get to in a short time to get there. We will start off with the Lotto and Intermarché merger and the disbanding of Arkea. It is official. It is very sad for the employees of the Arkea team. They say around 100 people are going to lose their jobs, and that really sucks.
Yeah, they were not able to find the sponsor that they needed to be able to continue on, and as such, along with the Intermarché and Lotto merger, it is a reshaping of the top teams in the World Tour moving into next year. And there's been a lot of criticism, from some of the smaller teams about the disparity between the biggest teams and the smallest teams and the budgets that they have, and whether or not they can be competitive. And there are a lot of cries for there to be, I don't know if it's some sort of form of salary capping, or where bigger teams have to kick in so that to help increase smaller team budgets.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
we've talked about this before. Let's save that conversation for another time. Use that as a lead into a little conversation about the point standings at the bottom end of the World Tour rankings. What do you got for us this week?
So it is now it's now over. So we now know which teams are looking, from the inside and from the outside, and Astana is firmly in, Jayco firmly in, Picnic Post in, whatever Intermarché and Lotto become is in, and then the team that really wins from all of this, all right, is Uno X, who will now secure a World Tour license in the 18th spot because of the dissolution of Arkea, and then the merger between Lotto and Intermarché. Huge. Now that does leave Cofidis 398 points out of the World Tour. Heartbreaking for them.
The big loser.
Yes, big loser. Very, very big loser, because I'm sure that if I should have gone back when I wasn't thinking, but I should have gone back and seen where they were earlier in the year, because the reality is that I would say outside of Intermarché and Jayco, Uno X, Picnic Post, and LNXDS Astana have done a remarkable job in the whole season, but especially for Picnic Post in the latter part of the season, really making sure that they didn't fall too many spots. But it's a testament to hard work paying off for a team like Uno X, who are omnipresent in a lot of races and a lot of breakaways, and they've picked up some wins, and they're a scrappy small budget team with a lot of essentially local guys on the team, and they do a wonderful job with it, and they deserve that automatic bid into all these races. And I think it's so good for them, because it just means that you're going to be able to see. I mean, they were getting a lot. Let's not kid ourselves. They were getting a lot of the exemptions, anyway. But it's nice to see, because what it will also mean is we're going to see some teams that were not getting exemptions in races like the Tour de France and in the Giro and in the Vuelta.
Rising tide lifts all boats.
Exactly.
All right. What do you did you have a point you wanted to make? You had listed the World Tour applicants with the women's and the men's. Did you have a quick point you wanted to make about that?
This is your list of men's and women's teams for this year. that will be considered world tour teams. They're not in any particular order. I think they're just in alphabetical. But I did want to pull it so that, we were sure across the board who is going to be considered a world tour team in both the men's and the women's. On the women's side, you've got obviously AG Insurance Sudal, Canyon Shram, Zonda Crypto, Cofidis Women, EF Education, Oatly, FD,
with the world champion.
Yep. FDJ United Suez, Phoenix Taconic, all right, Human Powered Health, Little Trek, Movistar, Picnic Post NL, SD Works Pro Time, Visma Lisa Bike, UAE ADQ, and Uno X Mobility. And then your newly formed world tour for the men's Alpecin.
So the women are going to have a Uno X team?
Yes.
That's super cool. All right, cool. Men's side, go.
Men's side, you've got Alpecin Taconic, Bahrain Victorious. This must be out of date because Cofidis is not going to be on that list. So, I don't. Yeah.
Cycling Academy,
Yeah,
is that going to be?
I
Is
don't
that
know.
Israel?
I grabbed this list off of like the third site, but I missed that those two teams were in there. But yes, Decathlon, whatever they end up being, it will be in their EF, Groupama, Ineos. By the way, Ineos is making moves left and right. This is a team that is going to be super interesting to watch next year. They have picked up some really good riders.
Let's save that for a conversation for Team Bus in a coming off season.
Yeah. Movistar, obviously, Red Bull, Sudal, Picnic, Visma, UAE.
You skipped Pinarello.
Yeah, but they're not. That's what I'm saying. I'm skimming them because I know they're not actually on this list.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know why this. I literally swear I can't remember exactly where I took this from, but I took it from a pretty reputable site. But I should have done. I was really doing this fast, and I should have vetted it a little bit better. Uno X and XDS Astana will also be in there. So, it'll be very interesting to see how everything shapes. I think that in the coming weeks in the off season, we'll take some time to really digest what these teams are going to look like moving forward, especially with huge moves of Ayuso and Evenepoel, and there's so many moves that teams have made.
And Keanu Uterbrooks to Movistar.
Keanu to Uterbrooks also, and I did read something today about it just happened that you pulled him out of the air. They're definitely he's gonna be the rider. Like he's gonna be the guy with Moss being the sage,
elder statesman.
Yeah, the elder statesman for them.
Captain.
So it'll be interesting to see how it all shapes. I mean, you've got sprinters moving, you've got GC guys moving, and especially in this age of Pogacar, there are plenty of people out there that are saying that he's beatable. That was one of the Movistar was one of the teams that said that Pogacar can be beaten.
He can't be the best forever. All right, let's. I got a couple of other quick cycling things, and we can move on to our non-cycling stuff. Elena Van Dijk ended her career on a high this past Sunday with a win in the Chrono des Nations in France. It's like it's like the time trial championships kind of in a way.
That's cool.
Josh Harling won on the men's side. It was Van Dijk's 42nd career ITT win, and what a way to go out for one of the truly great champions of time trialing in the past 20 years, Elena Van Dijk. And I know we mentioned that Mavi Garcia was moving, was out of her contract or whatever. Mm-hmm. Next season will be her last season, and she is going over to Team UAE Emirates. So. On a little plateau of really good form there at the end of the year, or in the second half of the season, I should say, for her. I would love to see her get in there, mixing it up with the ELB and the ladies, and get some cool results for her in the end of her season. Any other cycling commentary you want to mention?
Not really. There really is not too much outside of what we already talked about this week, so.
Don't miss the Team Bus, our weekly podcast about pro cycling, and oh, did I mention pro cycling? We're kind of obsessed. Dropping into your usual podcast feeds every Wednesday.
That's good. Then let's move on. I want to start with this link I put in there for the tickler. Did you watch this link?
I did not.
You're going to love this. All right. So I listened to a podcast called Pablo Torre Finds Out. That name might ring a bell to you. He's a very well-known sports analyst and journalist. I think he was on one of the big networks or something and had some kind of falling out. And now he does his own podcast. It's called Pablo Torre Finds Out. And he's just great. He knows a zillion people in the industry, and he's just got a fun, lighthearted kind of outlook, but he's in deep. Like, he knows his shit. And he can write and he can produce. And he did a piece on this guy. What was the dude's name? I thought it would be here in the notes there. Anyways, I'll put a link in the show notes. It's an MMA fight, and there's two guys are going at it. They're grappling down on the mat. And one of the dudes has got the other guy's dude like between his legs, like squeezing his head, trying to get him to pass out. You know, he's like doing the Suzanne Summers,
Right.
the thigh master action on him. And so I'm listening to Pablo Torre's podcast about this, and the way he's describing it, I am in love with the way he described this. He's talking about how he starts off by saying that MMA fighting is like one of the most homoerotic things in modern culture right now. And clearly, I mean, on some of these MMA fights, like, these guys are wearing, they're basically wearing
Underwear.
like boxer briefs.
Yeah.
They're wearing boxer briefs, and they're just all over each other, just like skin to skin and just rolling around. Like, it's so homoerotic. I mean, he's not wrong, right? And so he makes this hilarious point where he's talking about how, like, you know, in like manly culture, it's like, if you're manly, like, you don't touch other guys. And the more manly you get, the less contact you have with other guys, until you get to the very top of the manliness spectrum where you're an MMA fighter, and then you're rolling around with guys. So I thought that was just hysterical, right? And he uses that as a setup for this video. And it's this guy, I should have got the guy's name. Anyways, an MMA fighter, he's pinned by this dude. His head is being squeezed between this guy's thighs. He's about to pass out. He's grasping at straws. He's trying to figure out some way to break this thing. He starts tickling the guy's feet. And he keeps tickling, and the guy lets go of the grip. He gets out of it, and he wins the fight.
That's crazy.
He wins the fight with tickling. And it caused a minor panic in the MMA world, with like lots of guys being like, you shouldn't be doing that in MMA fights, man. Like, but nobody wanted to actually come out and say it. But basically what these guys were basically saying was like, that ain't manly. You know, it's like, wait a second. You're cool with rolling around on the ground with this dude and being all over each other and all kind of body contact, but he can't tickle you. Check yourself.
So it makes me think of this. So I used to work with this guy. I won't mention his name, but I used to work with this guy, and he was super into high school and college wrestling. And there's this video, and like one of his, like, I don't think it was his kid, because I'm pretty sure he only had girls, but maybe it was like a nephew or something, was wrestling. And there was a video, and you could hear, he's shooting the video, and you could hear him on the video as he's, you know, filming, yell, check his oil. All right. Do you know what this means? Do you know what this, have you ever heard this term? Yes.
I'm guessing.
Yes. Yes.
Oh my God.
So,
oh
like,
my God.
he's whoever it was like in a pin or some sort of submissive, you know, move. And he was telling him to shove his finger up the other guy's ass to to get out of it. And it's just like, it just made me think when you're like this homoerotic thing, and it's like, these behemoth children are rolling around on the floor, and some old man is like, stick your finger in his ass.
Oh yeah, put it in his arse. Oh, it makes me think. Here's what immediately comes to my mind when you say that is The Breakfast Club. He goes, I always wanted to be a wrestler. I always wanted to roll around on the floor with with guys who roll around on the floor with other guys or whatever. Like he goes after him. But the other thing is Pablo Torre on his piece. He played an interview with a guy who's like part of the governing body for MMA. So I guess it's like UFC, the Ultimate Fighting Championship. Like that's like the organization,
Right.
and then MMA is like the
sport,
the genre. That's the sport, right? Mixed martial arts. And so they're talking to a guy from Ultimate Fighting, and they ask him point blank, like, "Do you have a problem with tickling in an Ultimate Fighting fight?" And the guy's like, "Hell no! Are you kidding me?" And they're like, "Really? You don't have a problem with it at all? It doesn't bother you?" He goes, "If some guy wants to try to tickle me while I'm raining down elbows on his face, go right ahead. Go right ahead. If that's your tactic, have at it, Haas. In the meantime, I'll be elbowing you in your eye socket over and over and over again." Like, so I like that because I'm all for it. And it's not against the rules. There's no rule about it.
Nope.
And in fact, this guy said, he said in his reporting that, like, this is not the first time that someone's used tickling. This is a known tactic in MMA. And, it has worked for other people to varying degrees of effectiveness. And for some guys, it hasn't worked. I mean, let's face it, some people are ticklish and some aren't. It wouldn't work on my wife if I was in a wrestling match with my wife. Trust me, tickling her feet would not do a damn thing to her. But tickling my feet would destroy me. That would be my Achilles foot,
so to speak.
So check out that link in the description. It's hilarious. You want to hit some of yours? You want to trade them back and forth? Because I got a couple more non-cycling things to do here.
So hold on, let me scroll down to the bottom of my notes. So our first thing was the other day, I rewatched The Silence of the Lambs for the first time in a number of years. That movie, I mean, it's a classic. There's no doubt. It does not get the due it deserves the way that it used to.
Sure, it does. It's a perfect film.
Oh my God, it is utterly just amazing and holds up very, very well.
Yeah,
it holds up
timeless.
So well. And I just marvel at how absolutely likable Hannibal Lecter is in this like insane role of a cannibal serial killer, but he's so good in it, and he's just so personable, and just the back and forth between him and Jodie Foster, it's just unreal. It's such a good movie, and so many quality actors are in that movie. If you have not watched Silence of the Lambs recently, you owe it to yourself to go back and watch it. If you've never seen it, if somehow you've never seen Silence of the Lambs, you must watch that movie as soon as you possibly can.
It's so good. I'm going to use that as a segue into. I'm going to skip ahead in my little list here to the TGBH.
Yeah, what is
entry?
That?
Did you see that?
I did. I don't know what it is.
I want to see if you can guess it. We're going to do another. It's quiz time again.
Okay.
Although we weren't doing the quiz the last time on air. So it's an acronym for a movie title.
For a movie title.
And wait, I thought I had another clue for you though. It's an acronym for a movie title. The T is the. So it's
figured.
The. I thought I had another good clue for you for this.
Is G great? Is it The Great?
You're very close. It's not The Great, but it is a unisyllabic word. that means almost the same thing as great.
The Good.
Not good. Starts with GR, like great. It's not the great, it's the. That should be a dead giveaway. Means large or great.
Dude, I don't know.
Wes Anderson, The Grand
Oh,
Budapest
Budapest
Hotel.
Hotel. Yeah.
So, uh, in much the same way that that Anthony Hopkins, Hannibal Lecter, is just a totally likable, totally despicable person. The magnificent character at the center of the Grand Budapest Hotel, played so perfectly by Ray Fiennes, Monsieur Gustave, the concierge. This guy is a rapscallion. I mean, he is a hustler. He is a womanizer. He is a boozer, and yet as likable as a character as you will find in any Wes Anderson movie. This performance is so perfect. I think, and we've discussed this before recently on this podcast, I really think that Wes Anderson perfected the form with the Grand Budapest Hotel, and it's diminishing returns from there. Now, I have to say, I think part of the reason why this movie goes so deeply into my soul is because I work in the service industry, and Rafe finds his character is he he is so like me. I realized watching this movie, and I started watching this movie last night. I'm gonna get into that in a second, but he is so like me, where he reads people, he understands the person that he needs to be for them, to give them what they need, and
In turn, he
he
gets what he needs.
and he is compensated handsomely in not just monetary ways. Um, and so I think I really, really identify with him. And in fact, like he gives a speech at one point in that thing where he's like standing up and talking to like the staff there at the hotel, like in the back room while they're having like their sad little dinner, in this tiny little cramped space behind the scenes. Um, and it's so inspiring and it's so perfect for a restaurant environment like the one that I work in. The things that he says are just so absolutely pitch perfect for what I do in life. So I think that's part of the reason why I love the movie so much. But Wes Anderson is this master of mise en scène, where every single frame of his movies are like a little painting.
Mm-hmm.
And I am more than happy to admit that last night I put that movie on and I spent about an hour with it, and I watched about the first 10 minutes of the movie because I was literally just pausing it and going back and pausing and going forward and pausing again and going back and looking at frames and cross-referencing things. I mean, you can watch this movie that way, like it's a puzzle. Um, and the way this film opens up, it's like it's got a title card, and then the first scene is a girl arriving at a cemetery and hanging a key on a grave. And as the camera shot pans up to the top of this grave, you see that it's like a memorial for this writer, and his bust is on the top of it. And then that bust, they do a dissolve, and you see that it's the bust. The bust is representing the character that's played by Tom Wilkinson in this movie, and he's a writer. And that he's sort of narrating the story, right? So you realize that like he's the narrator of the story, and he's sort of starting the narration of the story. And everything about it, the words that he used, the way that he says it, there's a quick little aside where there's like some kid in his house as he's like recording this intro who's like misbehaving, and he's about to like make all this noise while he's trying to do this recording, and he stops mid recording, he starts yelling at the kid, he's like, don't you dare do that, and the kid runs over, and then later on the kid kind of slides into the shot with him as he's saying these lines, and every one of these things is like a perfect like Wes Anderson hallmark. And then when the scene changes, it goes to the environs of the Grand Budapest Hotel, but it's this shot. It's so whimsical. It's like half real and half fantasy, where there's like this crazy elevator that goes up to the top of this like little rocky cliff. It's like something in Dr. Seuss or something like
Yes.
that. And yet he's got there's like real actors like in there in this shot, and there's action happening. I mean, it's absolute magic. And then it ultimately gets to starting to introduce the characters, and they introduce the character of the lobby boy, um, the bellhop, who's Mustafa,
Mm.
Zero Mustafa, and he flashes these three quick shots of newspaper articles about Mustafa that'll give you the entire backstory for this character. But each newspaper flash is only on the screen long enough for you to read the headline. But I'm watching at home, so I'm just like spacebar, pause, and then I read the entire article. I looked at every square inch of the page of the newspaper, and this is like one of Wes Anderson's things. This guy loves graphic design. This guy loves a brochure. He loves a book. He loves a playbill, like any kind of printed materials,
Yes, and
Um,
he doesn't he doesn't just throw it away. Like it is its own thing.
and it's integral to the
Yes.
plot as well. And so I literally with this is probably 5 seconds of the movie. They flash the one newspaper title. It flashes straight to the next newspaper. It flashes straight to the next newspaper. And there's voiceover going. But for each one of those, this 5 second segment, I paused, I read the entire newspaper article, and it gave you all these details about this character that just like create a deeper and deeper and deeper portrait of this character. And then I go to the next newspaper and I read the entire article. I go to the next one, I read the whole article. And it, it is I, I want to recommend watching these movies like that, where you're literally pausing and just dissecting everything, looking at every square inch of the frame. Um, he bounces back and forth in time, and so you're inside of this incredible building, this hotel, but you get to see what it looked like in its heyday, and then like in
Where
the
it's at
60s
now.
when communism has taken over. And he gives you these shots like one after the other. Like one, you get one shot, and then like 5 minutes later you're seeing the almost the exact same shot, but instead of it being 1968, it's 1932. And it's so cool to be able to see the differences in these buildings and stuff. It's fascinating.
All right.
It really is.
On air production meeting. I want to do a episode of BTS where we look at that movie, and which is obviously your favorite Wes Anderson and my
Mhm,
favorite
mhm.
Wes Anderson, Royal Tenenbaums.
Perfect.
We compare them, and
Yeah, a two-wheel twofer. That's our next
that's
two-wheel
our next
twofer.
two-wheel twofer. You're absolutely right. Done.
Yeah, I wanted to mention one other thing too, and this is one of the things that's so great about these movies. Um, at the basically the MacGuffin in this movie is the painting boy with the apple that like the
Yes.
wealthy dowager that died that Ray finds was like totally banging. Like you totally get this whole side of his character where he's like it's quite obvious. It's like yes, I'm charming these women out of all their money and everything, but I'm also giving them sex and I like it. He's like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I like banging these old ladies. And he's got a whole line in there about how like, he quotes like some grandpa of his who always said something about older women, about how like, man, they get older, they blah blah blah. It's just it's so great. It's so rich with details. But she bequeaths to him this painting, Boy with Apple. Bro, I read 5 articles about how the painting in the movie came into being, because it is not a real painting from antiquity. It You could certainly be fooled to think that it was, and the lengths that they went to get this painting done for this movie is astounding. I mean, they hired an artist, and Wes had multiple conversations with him, and the guy worked on this painting, and he talks about all of his influences and what they really thought for the country that the movie is sort of taking place in, and everything about it, and the time for like so much thought was put into this painting. That's just a prop, basically.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just the MacGuffin in the movie, but like that is why the care that goes into the production of these movies is why they are so richly rewarding. So I'm not just going to recommend Grand Budapest Hotel, but I'm recommending watching it with the intention of pausing the movie every 5 seconds and really digging in on a visual sense, and then backing that up with a couple of Google searches, because you will be rewarded.
Okay. So now I want to connect. It's funny. I'm so glad that you actually brought that up. So after falling down the Silence of the Lambs rabbit hole, I ended up watching Red Dragon as well. Like, it just kind of, and so what's really interesting about that, not obviously it's not nearly as good, but it's really cool how they connect those two movies together, because obviously it's a prequel. How they literally take it up to the second before Silence of the Lambs starts. But Ray Fiennes in this movie gives an unbelievable performance, dude. Like, it's a very muted Ray Fiennes performance because he is like very introverted, and he does not say a lot. It's a lot of like action, of him just like visually. I wouldn't say action, but visual, of him throughout this movie, and he has this great, cleft palate scar thing going on. It's, again, not nearly as good, but boy, Ray Fiennes, man, big bucket of win for that guy. God,
He's incredible.
So good.
He's absolutely incredible. And I just watched on my flight last night. I had a nightmare situation where I got stuck on a plane for like an extra 90 minutes sitting on the tarmac over some BS. But they were nice enough to give you access to the in-flight entertainment. It was one of the planes that actually, still has a screen on the back of the chair in front of you, and you could stick a pair of headphones in there and select from a vast menu of movies, TV shows, and games. And I had just been listening to some people talking about In the Name of the Father, the Daniel Day-Lewis movie from like in the early 90s.
Yes.
And I thought, you know what? I could be sitting here for a long time. I'm going to pull that one up because I wanted to check back in with that one. That's a great one too. I kind of think of those two actors sort of in the same world, Daniel Day-Lewis and Ray Fiennes. They're both these like effete British guys who are really good at playing like crazy but like super high class as well. And I mean, Daniel Day-Lewis has been in some of my absolute favorite movies, and so is Ray Fiennes.
Gangs of New York is just unbelievable.
Yeah, some iconic characters. I wanted to mention, a couple of episodes back, right at the end of Beyond the Slipstream, I did a brief mention of Leni Riefenstahl, the German filmmaker that shot those Nazi propaganda films, and I just wanted to shout that out again, just because it's so fascinating. This woman made these two sort of iconic films that are just absolute propaganda for the worst, criminal organization to ever be on this earth. So I wanted to give another recommendation to seek out that movie if you had a chance. It's just called Riefenstahl. And it's a really fascinating story about this woman. She lived to a ripe old age and was more than willing to conduct interviews and try to defend herself, even though she basically collaborated with Adolf freaking Hitler. But throughout the remainder of her life, and she lived to be over 100 years old, she on a very regular basis would put herself out there on talk shows and to try to defend what she was doing. It's quite fascinating.
Yeah, that photo was crazy.
I also came upon this photo of is a very famous photo of like a murder in action. Some guy from some Eastern European country is on his knees in front of a grave of dead bodies, and he's about to get shot, and you can very clearly see the German guy. He's the last one of the group. Like, everybody else is dead in the bottom of this pit, and he's the last one about to get shot. He's got a look of absolute horror on his face, and you can see quite clearly the face of the German guy who's about to shoot him. And just recently, in the past couple of months, they have finally identified this shooter, and all that kind of stuff just kind of fascinates me in general. But I have to say, I just love the fact that like we ain't giving up. You know,
Nope.
it may have been 80 freaking years ago at this point that these things happened, but we're not giving up. We're going to keep looking for these people. We're going to keep trying to find this stuff out. Of course, that person's long gone and dead. There's not going to be any justice involved here, but that doesn't make it any less important. And especially in
Exactly.
the
I
political
agree.
climate that we're in now, it doesn't make it any less important. It's a really fascinating article. I'll make sure to put that in the show notes as well. But they have identified this guy. Sadly, they have not yet identified the victim in that shot, even though they've done a lot of work towards that end. So hopefully one day that man will be identified as well. But hey, some Nazi stuff for you. You got anything else?
Um, the show Task wrapped up on HBO this past weekend. Definitely want to shout out that show. Mark Ruffalo is kind of the biggest name in it. Martha Plimpton is also in it, if you remember her from the 80s.
Yeah, I love Martha
Um,
Plimpton.
but the the two performances that I want to shout out in the show are from Tom Pelfrey, who's best known from Ozark and Banshee, and if you watched Marvel's Iron Fist, he was in that as well. He gives a performance over 6 episodes that is just unbelievable. I mean, he's so good in this. It's a heartbreaking tale of a guy just trying to, you know, do what's best for his family in a hard world. And then his co-star who plays his niece, Amelia Jones. These two come off with like they have to do the Delco accent, the Delaware County Philadelphia accent, and they do it very very well. I linked to an interview where they talk about it, but if you haven't watched Task, go watch it. It's so good. It's from the same people that did Mayor of Easttown, which was very very good as well. But just a really really excellent show on HBO.
I don't know if I was in the wrong frame of mind or what, but I tried to get rolling with that show. I think at your recommendation actually a few weeks back, but I just could not attach myself to it. Maybe I'll try to
Dude, it's
circle
really good.
back.
It's really
It's just lurking there at the top of my feed.
good. But that's it. That's all I got.
Well, I wanted to just briefly mention then, I was away this weekend, and we spent the weekend basically at the Pensacola Interstate Fair, and it's just like a classic, county fair kind of situation where a traveling carnival company comes in and sets up a bunch of rides and concessions and games and etc. And my wife's aunt has for years run a concession out there um, at the Interstate Fair. I actually got her to give me a whole bunch of history on like kind of the evolution of this concession, but it's really kind of cool. It's kind of a unique thing, and I loved bringing my kids out there and letting them be a part of it. The last time we went, they were too young to remember. Basically, it's been 7 or 8 or 9 years since we were out there, and Mandy's aunt Sharon has done this for years and years, and basically she goes out there. She's got a lease on a building out there that's got like a small little commercial kitchen in it, and it's got some surrounding areas with like a covered area with like a bunch of picnic tables and stuff, and they got this kitchen. They got a big prep area, like a covered prep area in the back, and basically they go out there the week before the fair starts. They set up their thing, and when the people come in to come and build up the fair, it takes them 4 or 5 days to get the whole fair built and set up and everything in place and ready to go. She feeds those guys, like they're right there on site, and she's making real food. They're out there making chicken and dumplings and smoked pork, and you can get a T-bone steak and hamburgers and hot dogs, and they're making macaroni salad and macaroni and cheese and collard greens and all that kind of stuff. And so these people that are coming out there doing this work, it's just a a breath of fresh air to be able to go over there and get like a real home cooked meal. And I get to spend a few hours working the stand and talking to folks and selling hot dogs and hamburgers and stuff like that.
That's
and of course,
awesome.
I'm a natural, and the kids got to spend the weekend just like riding rides to their heart's content. And it was really a great thing. So I wanted to mention it. Go seek out your county fair. Take the kids to a county fair. Thanks for joining us. It's been a pleasure as always. We got a couple more episodes before the end of our final year. That'll do it for us today. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again soon. Ale!
Ale.
Beyond the Slipstream is a companion to the Team Bus and is produced by Harperama. Find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Please like, subscribe, leave a review, and tell your friends about us. Thanks for listening. Talk to you next time. Ale!